Hello everyone and welcome to the Circuit of the Americas for round 15, the penultimate round of the GPVWC Formula Challenge Championship. Could we see a champion crowned today? The chances are probably, especially since unfortunately Darius Andre, second in the championship, has not been able to make this round, and that paves the way for Jake Dennehan to wrap up the championship. Now the only two people who can win it are he and Mike Quint. And Quint, being so many points behind, has a lot of work to do if he's going to keep it alive till to the final round. We're currently in qualifying. It's a 15-minute qualifying session preparing for the start of the race. Currently it's Mikael Tuomala out in front of the chain and heading us around. He's going to be the first driver to start a flying lap. There you see the calendar, United States GP. And then, of course, next time out, 2 weeks' time, is the Brazilian GP at Sao Paulo, Interlagos, and that will be the last one of the championship. I'm joined here today by, well, first of all, the cameraman and streamer, Szymon Frelik, who's going to be providing you with everything that you can see visually and hear audibly over the course of this broadcast. And then Menno Klont is, of course, alongside me. Menno, this is an interesting circuit, one of the more newer ones. What do you think the main challenges for the drivers are going to be here?
I think the main challenge for the drivers will be keeping the tires alive for the whole race, because I feel that this is a track where I think tire wear is a key. And yeah, if at the end of race 1 or race 2, if you got more percent of your tires left, then you can be that a few tenths faster, and that can result in last lap overtakes maybe. So I think tire wear is key here, and of course being at the front for race 1 and race 2 with reverse grid will also help a lot.
So we're riding on board for Mikael Tuomala in his first flying lap. He's just been down the extremely long straight. It's one of the longest straights on the calendar. And then down into the arena section. You have two little right-handers there, followed by a kind of inverse left-hander. I say inverse because the first one has a tight apex and then a shallow apex, and the second one has a shallow apex followed by a tight apex. Here is the long triple header corner based after turn 8 at Turkey, and then we head down into the final two corners, which serve pretty much only to bring you back to where you started from, and then of course you head up the long hill towards turn 1, and that lap from Tuomala was a 1:49.434.
Look at Dennehan. Look at Dennehan. Dennehan with a 48.3, purple in all 3 sectors. But I saw a bit of sliding on his lap, so I think he can even go a bit faster. But yeah, right away, first lap for Jake Dennehan is an impressive lap for him.
He probably can go faster because we're still very, very early in the session. The Formula Challenge cars in particular, they rely so much on mechanical grip, but as the track gets rubbered in, they just get so much quicker. Jake Dennehan currently at the top by 0.8 of a second, so if he can go faster, then there is pretty much no one else can do to stop him. It's going to be a really, really close one. Of course, if he does well today, if he gets a victory, I think even a podium in either of the races, then he wraps up the championship. It's pretty much confirmed that he will today.
And a very good first lap. Now for Kenny Singleton, who's jumping to P2. Tom van der Voort now in P3. The old sim racing fox, if I can say that. Tom van der Voort in P3. And Alex Lehoux, who actually now drives Darius Andre's car, is now in P4. So I think a decent first lap, but I believe a lot of those drivers can still improve. While we now see Mike Quint going into the pits.
And Kenny Singleton, of course, currently P2, got his first victory of the season last time out. In fact, it was his first race of the season last time out. He did that for Valence Esports, and he's now moved to Valet Esports. So that is the car that he's going out in today, two very similarly named teams. and Kenny Singleton currently second in the order. Here's Kenny Leiber, the other Kenny, who did a decent job last time out, although sadly didn't come away with the same sort of results. He's now in the final sector of his particular lap and going fairly well. I think this lap will put him maybe 15th, maybe a little bit higher than that at this point in the session. It's currently he, Darren Halsall and Mike Quint who are yet to set qualifying laps, notably of course Mike Quint, the only person who could mathematically take the championship off Jake Dennehan now. Leiber across the line, and it's 19th, so it's a little bit lower than what I was expecting, but that is okay. Now let's take a look at, well, we're taking a look at Josh Downard completing his lap for Top Esports and going into the pit, so he won't complete that flying lap. Josh Downard, of course, the reason that I'm in the commentary box today. Of course, he found a seat in Formula Challenge with Top Esports, and that's why he is not. That's why you're not hearing his tones in the commentary. But anyway, Renault Souza Ferrari. I'm actually watching Mike Quint right now. I think he's setting up for a lap rather than about to complete one. He still seems to be a little off the pace, but that's because he's just setting up for a flying lap. And that's going to be a really important one for Mike Quint. He is one of the two main drivers that we're going to be watching and looking out for today. And there's going to be a lot more pressure on him than usual. I'm sure he won't be he'll be trying not to let himself feel that pressure. As far as he's concerned, Jake Dennehan is a long, long way ahead in the championship, and it's not really about what he can do, it's about what Dennehan does over the course of these two races. But even so, Quint needs to be there to capitalise if something does go wrong for Dennehan, Menno.
Yeah, and let's see what he can do in the qualifying here, and what he can do with this lap. Currently looking at the live time to see if we see any green sector time for anybody, but I believe there are no green sector times at the moment. And while I say that, we just see the first green sector time popping up, and that's from Mike Quint. It does 28.1. I think that's around P2, P3 for a first sector. Let's see what he can do in the second and third sector. But the first sector was good.
Now he gets the time to breathe, of course, as he goes down the straight. DRS wide open. There's going to be a lot of overtaking on that straight today. It's one of the main points on the track where you can get alongside your opponent. Then he breaks down into the arena section. Again, you get these two alternating double apex corners with the massive sausage curbs that you always want to avoid. On this track, the sausage curbs are known as Verstoppers, after, of course, Verstappen cut a corner a few years ago and got penalised for it. Yep. There isn't one of those sausage curbs where the Verstoppers traditionally are, actually, on the inside of the triple apex right-hander.
And I think Quint is on a quite good lap. I think he can jump to P2. Let's see how his final sector will be. I think not too bad. Where will he jump to? Yeah. And it is P2 for Mike Quint. So he does actually what is expected from him if you're that high in the championship. So I think a decent lap, but still, not too close to Jake Dennehan. So, but he's up there.
Improved in the second sector on his way back into the pits, so he's showing that he's got everything still to give to this circuit, and he's now heading out for another attempt.
I see a big improvement for Alex Lehoux. Can he go faster in both sectors and then in the lap? Let's see.
Menno, where are you getting this live timing from? My live timing's broken.
Oh, your live timing is broken. Got it from, let me see, from the official website we have, so...
Okay, well anyway, Alex Lehoux there going P4, so
yes.
1:48.840, just over
what about
half
Mitchell?
a second of Jake Dennehan. Isaac Morris, sorry, also out of the final corner, and goes P8, jolly good. Jake Dennehan currently absolutely dominating this session, 0.3 of a second faster than anyone else. And that is pretty darn impressive for a circuit that, yeah, this is one of the longer circuits of the calendar, but still it's less than 1 minute 50 seconds long, so that is still quite a big margin. And yes, Menno, that live timing does work. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's see who is now on a fast lap if we look at the live timing. Let's see, Alex Lehoux is going faster in the first sector now on this lap. So, and he is already in P4, so he improved. But is this his second flying lap, or is this the lap back to the pits? So that's the question. I think it might be the lap he goes back to the pits. But his first sector actually is, oh sorry, second sector actually quite decent.
It is absolutely chucking it down with rain outside my house, although still bone dry in Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a lot of rain. I hope you can't hear that in the background.
No, we can't hear it in the background, and yeah, of course, yeah, no rain now in Texas, but we shall see if we will get some later. I heard that we might see some rain, but yeah, you never know. If it will go, maybe it will rain a lot in Texas after race 2. All the teams are packing in to go to the final round in Brazil, but that's something we will see later.
Yeah, clear blue skies, barely a cloud in sight currently from the Circuit of the Americas. This is the section, the part of the race that, or the part of qualifying, sorry, that gets the most tense. The drivers are all going out for their final flying runs, just finding position on their out laps. There isn't anyone actually going faster on the, well, there's Justin Ryan, but everyone else is a long way from going faster right now, because of course everyone wants to get out onto the track to get their final flying lap in right as the checkered flag comes out. And of course because of course that's when the track is at its fastest, and of course that means that no matter what kind of strategy, what kind of cycle you're on at other points in the qualifying session, you always want to come back into the pits just before the final 2 or 3 minutes and then head out again. And that's why you see the track very busy right now, even though no one is really on a flying lap. Right, the flying laps can start now. Jake Dennehan is coming through the final corner, about to start his final shootout. We're watching Mikael Tuomala, although he is a little way down on his lap currently. Why don't we have a brief look at Kenny Singleton? I've been really impressed by him recently, and he is currently P3 and improving, or attempting to improve on his time heading through the S's. Still looking at Tuomala, he actually did go slightly faster in the second sector, so there is still a chance that we could see an improvement from the Scuderia Cap Clay driver, although I don't think it's going to be a significant one. Could potentially have another flying lap after this one if his tyres can do it. I'm a driver who does tend to like going for 2 flying laps every time I go out on circuit, although sometimes...
Well, we've got somebody who's quite quick. I need to interrupt. It's Tom Vandervoort who's going green in both sectors. So can he improve? He's currently P7, but I think he can make a decent jump. I think in the top 5 if he does a good lap. Final sector looks good. What about the final corner? I think he nails it. Yes. Exit, DRS, and where does he jump to? Let me see. Or didn't he improve? I believe he improved his time, but not his position. So that's a shame. Yeah. And now we look at Kenny Singleton. What can he do? He's also green in both sectors. Can he jump ahead of Quint? I think that could potentially be possible. Can he go to the front row? And he jumps to P2. And that's a very good time. Only 1.5 tenths behind Jake Dennehan. In his final sector was purple, so that's a very good lap time.
Absolutely, and Mike Quint's not improving. He's in the second sector now, but he is down, as is Alex Lehoux. Jake Dennehan finishes another lap, and it's off, but again, it is the fastest third sector of anyone. So third sector in particular getting a lot faster right now. Damien Scaron is the top driver improving. Actually, Joseph Herlock there did a fairly quick first sector. That might go.
And Quint nearly got singleton, but it's P3 for Quint, but an improvement in that for him. And let's look at Scoron now. Yes, he's in P6.
Yeah, Herlock's been off the road, so Herlock's not improving. Scoron out of the final corner. This is going to be his final chance, and he improves to P4. So Scoron on the second row of the grid, and that appears to be pretty much it. Scott Mitchell across the line in 5th place. Pole position is not going to be challenged. What about Tom Parker goes P9? Jack Nichols is in the final sector. He's been pretty quick at other rounds of the championship. Dylan Platt P9 now, knocks Tom Parker down to P10. Nichols has 1 corner to go, following one of the top esports drivers through. I think that might be Josh Downard. Approaching the line, P11.
Then we've got Massimiliano Ripoli now in a flying lap. Can he improve? Take a decent last corner. Throttles it. A lot of commitment. Can he jump higher? No.
No, and indeed, that appears to be the end of the session. Bruno Sousa Ferreira is going to be the last driver across the line on the flying lap, and he actually seems to have backed off before he reached the finish line. So that appears to be the lot for the qualifying session. It is Jake Dennehan on pole position, followed by Kenny Singleton on the front row of the grid. In terms of penalties, we actually don't have any. So what you're seeing now on your screen is what you're going to get in terms of the starting order. Dennehan, Singleton, Mike Quint, Damien Scaron, Scott Mitchell, Isaac Morris, Alex Lahou, Joseph Herlock, Tom Vandervoort, and Dylan Platt. And then it's Jack Nichols, Tom Parker, Luke Mitchell, Kevin Morville, Massimiliano Riboli, Nico Tiomala, Ruben Machete, Alessandro Valente, Maciej Sandak, and Don Halsall, the top 20. Tommy Koivunen, Siva Panasenko, making his first race in Formula Challenge. Then Kenny Leiber, Bruno Sousa Ferreira, Justin Ryan, Josh Downard, and Maxime Bewley. The 29 cars out there, and Jake Dennehan has done exactly what he needed to in his championship challenge. He is very close to wrapping it up today.
Yeah, and very interesting. 6 different teams in the top 6 of the starting grid. So yeah, very competitive at the moment. And let's see what will happen in race 1 in just a few minutes. So we're looking forward to see how that will unfold.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to go for a brief 5-minute break just to let the warm-up session play through, and then we are going to be straight back for the first of our 2 races. So don't you go anywhere. We're going to be back. But yeah, for now, Jake Dennehan has done everything he needs to. Hello everyone, welcome back to Circuit of the Americas. We have just 1 minute until we get the checkered flag on this warm-up session and then prepare for the start of the first of two races, both of them 14 laps long. And there is Jake Dennehan, the driver who will start on pole position for the TCS Off Racing team. Now, if Jake Dennehan scores 12 points in either of the races today, or a combination of the races today, that means that he wraps up the championship. So the chances are he's going to do that unless something really dramatic happens. And of course, even if he doesn't, it relies on Mike Quint scoring a decent amount of points anyway. Quint, even if Dennehan did not score any points today, Quint, I believe, would have to score 18 points in order to keep the championship alive, although that may have been a completely made-up number. Whatever the case, Jake Dennehan is a long, long way ahead of anyone else. Of course, theoretically, Darius Andre could still win the championship as well, although Jake would need to. That's true, actually. I need to factor it. So 27 points. So Denahan would need to score 27 points more than Andre over the course of today as well, in order to remove Andre if he comes back in Sao Paulo. So yes, I think that should be what we focus on mainly. So that means he actually can't wrap it up in race 1. Race 1, there are 26 points on offer, 25 for winning, and then 1 for fastest lap. So after race 1, it actually doesn't quite matter where Denahan finishes, or Quint for that matter, because Andrea would still be within 20 points, or within enough points to keep the championship alive. Anyway, the warm-up session now has the checkered flag. Welcome back to Menno Klont. Menno, we saw an interesting qualifying session. Jake looked utterly unflappable out there. What do you think it's going to take to beat him over the course of today?
Yeah, well, I think a brave move from everybody or anybody who thinks they can challenge. So yeah, I think they've got a shot, but yeah, then you need to nail the start. I think if you want to beat Jake Denham, if you can get ahead and yeah keep in a fight with him, I think Jake Denham can be beaten. But if he leads at the end of lap 1, I think chances to beat him will be a bit less, unless of course Jake makes a mistake himself. But yeah, I think the start will be very important. I believe in Formula 1 we saw that a few years ago. I believe with Raikkonen getting the launch and getting ahead of Lewis Hamilton and then winning the race. So yeah, I think for Jake the main thing is to do a good start, and yeah, then I give him a good chance to win and then wrap up. I think the title in style, because then he only needs a few points in race 2 to yeah be sure of the championship. So yeah, we shall see.
You're absolutely right, and yeah, I'd echo that. But the trouble with that is that even if someone gets ahead of him at the start, this is a circuit where you can overtake. There are 2 DRS zones here, and they are relatively long ones. And that long back straight as well, heading down towards the right-angled left-hander, that's got to be a tough one to fend off if you're anyone other than Jake Denahan. But anyway. He isn't perfect, no driver is, so there's definitely a chance that we're not going to see him winning today. So, onto the grid, go the drivers, and now we can take a look at the grid order as they head away for the formation lap, when... Okay, we'll get that up in a second. There it is. Okay, so Jake Denahan, as we said, is on pole position, followed by Kenny Singleton, who got his first win of the championship last time out. Mike Quint is third, followed by Damien Scarron. Then it's Isaac Morris, Alex Lahire, Joseph Herlock, and Tom Vandervoort. Next up is going to be Dylan Platt in P9 in the Thunderdog car. And he will be alongside Jack Nichols, who's moved up to 10th place, so someone appears to have dropped down. And it's Tom Parker and Luke Mitchell. So who from the top 10 is missing? It's Scott Mitchell. We've lost Scott Mitchell. Kevin Moore-Villas, P13. Then it's Massimiliano Riboli, Nico Tuamala, and Ruben Michetti. And then it's Alessandro Valente, Maciej Sandak, Darren Halsall, and Tommy Koivunen, the rest of the top 20. Just 2 more slides to go now, since we only have 28 cars now. Siva Panasenko makes his first outing in Formula Challenge, and then it's Mateusz Gazowski, Remco de Giu, and Kenny Leibier. And then Bruno Sousa Ferreira, Justin Ryan, Josh Downard, and Maxime Bewley, the 28 drivers on this grid. But what a shame for Scott Mitchell. He qualified well. He qualified inside the top 10.
Yeah.
And now I'm afraid, as the session's ticked over, he hasn't made it in.
Yeah, and this is very interesting because we talk about Mike Quint is going to, well, what he needs to do to stay in contention for the championship. But I think Mike Quint is looking in over his shoulder to P4. So P4 is Scott Mitchell. So I think Mike Quint with a good race can, well, make himself sure of P3 in the championship. So Scott Mitchell not starting is working in his his favor, but it's of course very annoying for Scott Mitchell to have this problem. And for Isaac Morris and Dylan Platt, this is a chance to gain a lot of points on Scott Mitchell. With one round to go in 2 weeks, they might be closer than Scott Mitchell wants. So a big shame, but we hope to see him back in a race 2.
That's true, but of course, with the points that Darius Andre is losing here, Quinton and Mitchell could well be fighting for second in the championship at the end of this as well. Anyway, the last few drivers line up on the grid. Here's Maxime Bewley in the GPVWC Academy car. He will be 28th. Scott Mitchell incidentally did make it back in, but not in time to head out onto the track. He's pending an open session, which means, of course, that he can't start the race. Okay, onto the grid we go. Jake Dennehan is on pole, followed by Kenny Singleton. You're looking at them just ahead on that front row of the grid, and when 5 red lights go out, we'll be underway for 14 laps of the Circuit of the Americas. And in Formula Challenge, it's go! Away we head. Jake Dennehan gets an excellent launch. It's an excellent reaction.
Look at Scoron.
He's spooking as they go 3 wide behind him now into turn 1. A lot of spooking going on. Singleton breaks later. Up the inside goes Damien Scarron. Scarron looks as if he might get P2, but Singleton's trying to hold it on. Mike Quint poking his nose right down the middle of the two of them. And it's a very smoggy S's. A couple of cars. Yeah, Alex LaHoo, I'm afraid, has had an accident further back. He's missing his rear wing, Menno.
And another car off, which is Kevin Morville. Did he lose a front wing? No, he didn't lose a front wing, so he's still in contention. So yeah, Alex LaHoo lost his front wing. I didn't see what happened there, but he is of course nearly out of this race. I think he will try to make it fixed. So the whole grid is in a CS off sandwich. So look at the lead Jake Dennehan already has. It's Kenny Singleton now in P2. Mike Quint is trying to get into the slipstream of Kenny Singleton. So yeah, big
slipstream down the straight. Look at this, going into the corner. Jack Nichols side by side with Dylan Platt. Tom Vandervoort lost a lot of ground on that straight after making a mistake at the previous corner. He's now side by side with Tuamala. Tom Parker holds a lot of them up. And now as they head into the final sector of the course, they're still jostling for position, even though this is normally a single file part of the track. Dennehan's going to lead by over a second at the end of the opening lap. That's exactly what he needed to do, because now he's not even going to be within a threat of DRS. Wide goes Dylan Platt. Jack Nichols all over the back of them. There's Tom Parker in the Smile Power Racing car.
Yeah, and now Tom Parker had a very good start, and I believe jumped from P10 to P7 ? But he had a decent start. So after one lap, we have Jake Dennehan leading.
Well, there's a replay of what happened to Alex LaHoo. It was a complete lag spike off the line, and it's amazing that didn't cause a magnificent pile-up heading up towards the hill, because I've seen that happen before where a driver's lagged on the starting grid and it's just piled, everyone up behind him has piled up and caused a huge crash. But Alex LaHoo, luckily, the only real casualty from that, and he is in the pits. Now, 27 cars remaining in the pack. Not necessarily in the race if LaHoo can get back out there. And Jake Dennehan is leading by over a second, as I suggested he might be. Behind him, Singleton and Quint might well be about to do battle down the back straight. And then we have an even closer chain comprising the entirety of the rest of the field. Let's see if anyone goes side by side this time around. I think Dylan Platt, Jack Nichols.
Look at Riboli. Riboli on Valente for P12. Riboli around the outside, breaks later and makes the corner. Textbook move from Massimiliano Riboli for P12.
Nicely done indeed. Right into the arena section. And up ahead of him, Tom Vandervoort lining up Jack Nichols all over the back of him. This driver's run right the way over the curb. Oh, and a little touch there. Just saw that at the back of the shot. That was Sava Panasenko, I think, touching with Luke Mitchell, and that's now put Remco de Joux and Kevin Morville side by side for P20. So it's going on and going off all the way up and down this field right now. onto the third lap of the race. And the third lap is the most important one of the race because it's the first time that DRS becomes available. So this is going to be the lap that we get even more overtaking action down the back straight, and the order really starts to shuffle just like it did on the first lap.
And Jake Dennehan did an amazing job because he is outside of DRS. So Kenny Singleton will not get DRS from Jake Dennehan. And of course that can hurt him quite a lot because I think Mike Quint will get the DRS. So I think he can be really close at the end of the long back straight to potentially overtake Singleton. And also take a look at Damien Scoron because I feel he is the guy maybe who has the best pace after Jake Dennehan. He seems to be quite fast in Sector 2 and he can be close to Quint and Kenny Singleton. So let's see what will happen now. No big changes at the first DRS zone. Quint gets closer, but no chance to overtake. Let's see.
Oh, and look at that in the background. That's Tom Vandervoort under pressure from Mikkel Tuomala, who backs out of it now. But that looked as if it might have been one. I'm surprised actually by how few cars actually did go for overtaking attempts down the straight. We've got a couple further back, no successful ones it seems. It looks to have been single file on that lap, which is a surprising one. Alex Lahu, meanwhile, is back in the race. He's a long way down. He's 80 seconds behind the leaders, but at least he's still going. And if we get a dramatic, race of attrition, then he could well still have a part to play. And of course, if he gets fastest lap, he could take that off some of his main rivals, which could be very important for Jake Dennehan here. If he takes fastest lap off Mike Quinn. So far though, it's Dennehan who has the fastest lap, so it really wouldn't matter much. Anyway, on to another lap of the race, lap 4 now. Singleton, Quint, Scaron still close, but then it's Morris and Herlock as well behind them. Very, very close in P2 through to 6. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Tom Parker, and then you get more and more chains of cars leading right the way down to the back of the field. So this time, when they got into the back straight, I'm expecting more and more changes. A couple of drivers cutting a few of the corners in the S's. Of course, the sim decides itself whether it wants to give you a warning or a penalty for that. So obviously the drivers have figured out where they can be slightly cheeky and slightly liberal with the interpretation of the track limits. But anyway, down the straight we go. Open goes the rear wing flap on Mike Quint's car. He gets closer and closer to Singleton, and as they head towards the braking zone, Singleton feels the pressure, and Quint feels better than to go for a dive. Further back, we've got more drivers getting close to their opponents, although no one really going for any moves. Oh, we've got 3 wide actually. Panasenko is in the middle. Oh, with Morville and Renko Desu, and they did touch. Wide goes Panasenko, rejoins the circuit. Morville now Desu up the inside, touches Panasenko and loses all that time. So Panasenko in his first race with GPVWC fends off Remco de Joux, and through goes Bruno Souza Ferreira. Here's a replay of what we just saw. They decided to go 3 wide.
And we need to go back to P2 because Quint was really close into Sector 3. Can he go for the overtake into Turn 1? He's got DRS again. This needs a brave move if he wants to go for it. Will he go for it? No, he waits for it. Scoron is there, so it's now Singleton, Quint, Scoron and Morris fighting for that P2, and Joseph Hurlock is actually catching up to this group as well. I see somebody who is now currently struggling a bit on pace is Tom Parker. He cannot follow the guys in front, and he is getting out of shape in nearly all corners in Sector 1. So he's struggling, and that makes another big DRS train behind him. So let's see if Tom Parker can stay in P7. For now, he seems to be struggling on that pure pace.
3 seconds is now the gap for the lead. Jake Dennehan is in a class of his own. Now watch Singleton and Quint as Quint once again gets closer and closer, and I believe he's closer to Singleton than he was the previous time. He's going to go for it to the outside. Possibly could have gone to the inside, but it might not matter if he can hold it out over that curb. He'll have the inside for the next corner. It's going back and forth, and Mike Quint takes second. No, look at that. Singleton is still there on the outside. Behind him, Morris and Scoron went side by side, but look at at this. They're going to go side by side all the way through the arena section. Amazing defense from Singleton. Now they're side by side with Quint on the other side, and he's going to line it up all again through the triple apex right-hander and into the final sector of the course. That was great stuff there from Singleton. Really, really good racecraft. So it's Denahan, Singleton, Quint, Morris, Scurr on the top 5 now. So Morris and Scurr went side by side that last lap as well.
Yeah, Morris overtook Scoron at the long straight, so Morris now looks to be on the move. But this can change next lap. I think for Quint it's important if he overtakes Singleton, he needs to do it in a smart way, because otherwise Isaac Morris and Damien Scoron could potentially overtake him when he makes the move. So he needs to be smart with it, and I think the best overtaking spot would be the long straight coming up soon. Also, Tom Park is still in P7, so that shows that he, I believe, is quite good on the long back straight as well.
Indeed, Park is very good, although there is a big gap between him and the 6 leaders right now. So, onto the back straight once again. Singleton, Quint, etc. We've got a 5-car chain for second place. And do any of them decide to swap this time? Well, Quint once again lining up Singleton, just as he has done the last few laps. This time he dummies. This time he goes to the inside, and he's going to try his luck. And that looks to be a much more successful move. And Singleton tries to keep the overlap, but has to admit defeat. Mike Quint, really good maneuver.
Look at Isaac Morris just looking into something he can do. Wants to send it into the inside, but it didn't work. Gets another opportunity, but hits Singleton there. Oh, numbers 2, 3 and 4 are so close at the moment. And yeah, Damien Scoron is just looking to follow at the moment, but he's still in it. And Joseph Hurlock also is somebody who thinks like, oh, let me just watch from a distance, and if something happens, I will look what I can do.
Isaac Morris is very, very good. He's lining up Kenny Singleton here, who was my teammate at the start of the year, so I know how good he is. And this time, he now goes to the inside of Kenny Singleton, but looks up, and they bang wheels, but he gets through anyway, and Singleton gets muscled wide, and through goes Damien Scaron. Really opportunistic stuff from Scaron there. Singleton will be seething. He'll be rather annoyed with that one, I think, although it seemed to be just a tiny, tiny touch from Isaac Morris, and he did give him space with respect to Morris. So Morris now on the podium. What can he do about chasing down Mike Quint?
Yeah, still, I think Scoron now is on the move. It looks like he was just relaxed the first few laps, and now I think he decides to go for it. Maybe he kept his tires in in a good percentage, so I think he will attack now. Let's see if he can overtake Isaac Morris. Isaac Morris will, of course, not have the DRS. Damien Scoron will go for it, but he is too far away, so he cannot overtake Isaac Morris there. So stays in P4.
Further back, we've got Don Halsall side by side with, is that Raboli? That's actually Valente. And down into the corner, it looks as if Valente's got the advantage there. Behind them, Gajovski and Sandak also went for it, and Gajovski came off better out of that one. More moves further down the order. Remco Deju, Kenny Leibir, Sava Panasenko having a fight. Panasenko and Leibir locking wheels and touching and forcing Josh down it over the curb. And Bruno Souza Ferreira takes 2 places in that one. We're missing that though, because we're still watching Singleton fighting with Damien Scaron, and we'll keep an eye on that because Scaron, and actually there's a replay of Singleton getting forced wide. Scaron this time went a little bit defensive, and it looks like Van der Voort and Platt are side by side. Also, this is for P8 up towards turn 1. Platt leaves his braking really, really late, possibly too late, locked up. Wow, great defense from Dylan Platt there. He knew he had to just send it, otherwise he was going to lose that place, and there wasn't going to be any way he could get it back through the S's. So Platt stays P8, and Tom Van der Voort, and a big slide from Dylan Platt there, but gathers it all up with the supreme mechanical grip of these Formula Challenge cars. They're probably going to go at it down the straight as well. Looks as if this is all being caused by Tom Parker being the bottleneck The cork in the bottle through this race so far. Jack Nicholls taking a look at Tom Vandervoort, also wanting to get involved. This is great stuff in Formula Challenge. Singleton attempting to come back at Scuron now. Scuron going right over to the left-hand side of the track. Really defensive. Moves back over now to take his line for the corner and stays fourth. Behind him, Nicholls does line up Vandervoort, although backs out of that one as well, as he realizes there's no way through into the corner. Halsall makes a big dive on Valente through into P14. He's going to drop back again on the exit, maybe. Valente with the wider line, and they avoid banging wheels as they head into final sector. And it looks as if Valente's got that one. Very well done. Halsall clatters over the curbs, and behind him, Gajowski and Sandak are waiting to pounce on that one, and fighting amongst themselves as we talk as well. So another lap of the race. It's flying by. We're very nearly at the end now. Just 5 laps to go, and it's Denahan, Quint, Morris, Scuron, and Singleton, the top 5.
Denahan is just checking out. He's got a lonely race and just on the lead, just knocking off all the laps and just doing a great pace, checking out, and now, just minding his own business actually. And I think he's in a good rhythm, and looks very good for him at the moment. Yeah.
If Jake Denahan does finish P1, that will of course eliminate Mike Quint from the championship fight, and it will mean, as Quint touches with Singleton, let's get back to that in a second. That's actually Joseph Herlock, touching with Singleton. So Herlock's caught up to this fight in P6, and lining him up, although of course getting slightly balked on the exit of the S's there. He is now slipstreaming. DRS opens as soon as he crosses that line to the right hand side, and he's probably going to be ahead by the time they reach the braking zone here. Such is his speed on the straight. There he goes into the braking zone, into the corner.
Yeah.
And Joseph Herlock puts the power down, gets that P5 position. Very well done. Slides slightly, gets away with it. Behind him, Platt, Vandervoort, Nicholls, P8, 9, 10. They'll just about get around the corner together. Now, as I was saying, if Jake Denahan does win the race and finish as it is right now with the first lap and everything, he will only need 1 point in race 2 in order to completely wrap up the championship. Sorry, Menno.
Yeah, and the man on the move now, I think, is Isaac Morris. Isaac Morris seems to have some pace left. He's now in P3, and he's pretty close to Mike Quint. Just keep in mind that, who was it? Scott Mitchell is not starting race 1, and Isaac Morris is, let me see, 34 points behind in the championship on Scott. So if he can finish P2, that would mean he gains 20 points back of the 34. And that's something very interesting. So all to play for Isaac here in race 1 and race 2. Can he get past Quint, or will Quint just be too fast in the closing stages of the race? We shall see.
Indeed. So on to the 10th lap of the race now. Still it's Denahan, Quint, Morris, Scuron, Herlock, Singleton, Parker, Platt, Vandervoort and Nicholls, the top 10 now. Although they're probably going to change as soon as I say that, as they go onto the back straight, because Nicholls, Vandervoort and Platt are all lining up Tom Parker here in their respective chain. It goes back even further than that, because Tuamala and Riboli are right on the tail of those. Riboli's really been catching up this train in the last few laps. Nicholls Platt takes a little look there further back. Tuamala also trying to show himself to the mirrors of the car ahead, but right now it's slightly too spread out for something to happen. They just need to bide their time until the car ahead makes a mistake, or they can get close enough onto that back straight to make a move. Of course, there is another DRS zone on the track. It's the start-finish straight, but that one's not quite as long. But you do have the advantage, of course, of a big open wide turn 1 with a lot of runoff area in which you can go for a move Of course, it's a heavy braking zone as well. I'm afraid we've had our first retirement to the race. Alessandro Valente was running around about 15th position or so, and he is now out, and we're seeing a replay of something, and this is Maciej Sandak touching with Don Halsall. Halsall goes for a spin, and rejoins right into the side of, is that his teammate? That is, so a collision there amongst two teammates. They are not the team I was looking at there, sorry. Luke Mitchell now going side by side with Mateusz Gazowski. Looks as if Gazowski is going to claim that position. And up front, Tom Parker still holding that P7 just about. Looking back at what happened to Valente, he seemed to get caught up potentially in something that he was not already involved. No, it was a disconnection from Valente, so not an accident at all. He is out due to a disconnection. So 27 of our 28 starters remaining in these latter stages of the race. Here's Dylan Platt lining up Tom Parker into the corner, goes to the inside, and that's the first time Tom Parker's been overtaken today. If indeed Platt can make it stick, he does, because Parker goes off and rejoins in P8. So Platt 7th, Parker P8, and that of course makes him vulnerable to Tom van der Voort behind, and we've seen that van der Voort is very quick in a straight line. He's made quite a few passes down that straight already. And here's Singleton once again, still on the back of Joseph Herlock, who passed him earlier in the race. It's been a little bit of a disappointing race for Singleton. Started second and then just got muscled back through the order, despite some impressive shows of racecraft, but obviously just not quite impressive enough to fend off Quint, Morris, Scuron and Herlock. And again, still time to go in this race as he lines up Joseph Herlock on the outside there. Poor Menno, what will be going through these drivers' minds now as the race ticks to naught?
I think for Jake Denhan, it's all about keep focus, and I think he's just counting down the laps. And for the leader, the laps are always really long. But I also think Mike Quint wants to finish this race as soon as possible. He wants to get that P2 in. He knows then he can't be the champion anymore, but he then will score a lot of points for that P3 championship position. So I think he will be really focused on get that P2. Isaac Morris looks good in P3. And look at Kenny Singleton. Kenny Singleton is close to Joseph Herlock. Can he overtake Joseph Herlock for P5? He's got a run, but can he go for it? Will Joseph Herlock go defensive? No, he didn't go defensive, and Kenny Singleton actually didn't go for it. Maybe he is waiting 1 or 2 more laps. While Dylan Platt now is in P7. Tom Parker is still very close in P8 with Tom van der Voort in P9. Can Tom Parker re-overtake Dylan Platt? Well, we shall see, of course, in a few laps. Let's see for the points scoring position. We've got a big fight for P15. It's Mateusz Guzowski, who is back in the Thunderdog car with Luke Mitchell now in P15. They've got a proper battle for the last points position, and of course potentially a reverse grid pole depending on which number will get chosen. So this is something on the line here.
Onto the penultimate lap of the race we go. The leaders have all started to spread out a little. Of course, there was already a big gap between Dennehan and Quint, but now there's over a second between Quint and Morris, and then another second back to Scuron, and then another 2 seconds back to Joseph Herlock right now. And then, of course, you have that fight between Herlock and Singleton. So that is the first couple of cars within DRS range of each other. Then, of course, you have this big chain further back as Parker, Platt, van der Voort, Nichols, Tuamala, etc. will go for that P7 in the race as it is. Although Platt appears to be potentially trying to get away from Tom Parker here. And again, we know that Parker's relatively quick in a straight line, so let's see what happens as they get out onto the back straight this time around. Up ahead, I think Singleton's going to be a little too far back to attack Joseph Herlock this time around. So let's watch Tom Parker as he's chased down by Tom van der Voort. towards the braking zone. I think they're just about going to hold position, it seems. The drivers behind them might not. Jack Nicholls going very defensive from Tuamala. Oh, and up ahead of them, a big dive from Van der Voort goes up the inside of Tom Parker, forces Parker over the curb. Parker holds it. Nicholls also held it from Tuamala. They got down into the corners cleanly. Halsall now passes... actually goes a little bit too wide, but was going to pass Luke Mitchell for P15. So Mitchell fending off the last points paying position. Don Halsall's team, which I was trying to remember earlier, is indeed Sim Racing Guys. Interestingly named team with him and Kevin Moorville.
We've got somebody off. Oh, we got somebody off. It was Dylan Platt who went off at the penultimate corner, and now Tom Parker overtook for P7, but there's a big run for Dylan Platt and for Tom van der Voort. This will be a proper braking into turn 1. Who can be ahead? Will it be Dylan Platt again? No, Tom Parker, has got the lead of this group now. So Tom Parker back into 7th position, but it all comes up to towards the final, I think, long back straight. Can Platt or can Van der Voort go for that P7? Oh, this will be spicy for the last lap.
This is the final. Oh, and a big slide there for Tom Parker, but he holds it. Now this is the final lap of the race, and no question as to who's going to win this race, providing everything stays clean on this last lap. I guess the real questions are over P5, and then of course over P7, which is what you're seeing right now.
Oh, mistake from Platt, I think. He turned in far too early, I think, for the long straight. Now he's got a big slipstream still. What can Tom van der Voort do? Now he can't follow Dylan Platt. Can Dylan Platt go for it into 7th position? Not quite. So Tom Parker still in P7.
3 wide contact, and it's Jack Nicholls. Nicholls and Tuamala made contact, and through on the outside goes Massimiliano Raboli. And somehow it wasn't worse for Tuamala. Anyway, through the final corner now comes Jake Dennehan, and he is on his way to win the first race of 2 here today. He also got the fast lap, meaning that he is well on his way to the championship. He just needs 1 more point today to wrap it up. Mike Quint is 2nd, followed by Morris. Then it's Damien Scoran. Joseph Hurlock just holds off Kenny Singleton. That was close. And then we get this fight between Parker, Platt,
well done,
and Van der Voort for P7, 8, 9, and P10 will be stolen on the last lap by Mikkel Tuamala, Menno.
Yeah, and then Riboli in P11, then Jack Nicholls in P12, Ruven Machete P13, Mateusz Guzowski on his return in P14, and the final points position for Juan Halsall. And I think that's quite important, because that means that he could potentially still be reversed for race 2. Let's see what number he will see. And outside the points, both of the downforce electric cars from Sandak and Luke Mitchell. So that's, I think, quite painful. But we already see a lot of drivers making donuts, and we still got a race to go. So let's hope that's another tire set they use in race 2. But yeah.
Yeah, it won't be, don't worry. Outside of the points in the end were Sandak, Mitchell, Moorville, Leibit. Actually, I'll go through this all when we see the... I'm loving the celebrations we saw from Mikkel Tuamala after getting... Actually, I'll talk about that in a second. So Jake Dennehan does win here at Formula Challenge. Then it's Mike Quint, Isaac Morris, Damien Scaron, Joseph Hurlock, Kenny Singleton, Tom Parker, Dylan Platt, Tom van der Voort, and Mikkel Tuamala. And that, of course, eliminates Mike Quint from the championship fight, despite a strong effort to claim P2 there. Jake Dennehan just has Darius Andre to pick off now. Let's see the second slide if we can. Here we go. Massimiliano Raboli, P11, followed by Jack Nicholls, Ruven Machete, Mateusz Kozowski, Darren Halsall, Maciej Sandak, Luke Mitchell, Kevin Moorville, Kenny Leibert, and Remco de Joux. And look at those positions from 11th to 15th. Those are the drivers who could get reverse grid pole here. Then it's Josh Downard, Bruno Souza Ferreira, Justin Ryan, Tommy Koivunen, Maxim Bewley, Siva Panasenko, Alex Lahu after that unfortunate first lap incident, which was not anyone's fault in particular. And then Alessandro Valente was our only retirement due to connection issues of some sort. And of course, Mitchell sorry, yeah, Scott Mitchell did not start this race due to connection issues of his own. So that is the first of our 2 races here today. An exciting couple of an exciting 14 laps here, and the winning margin at the end was 7.798 seconds from Jake Dennehan, and over a 25-minute race. That's really not a bad gap, actually. That's difficult to build up, Menno.
Yeah, that's very difficult to still get done. So yeah, we shall see that in race 2. But let's first go for a bit of a break, coffee break, and then we will be back for race 2 soon.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Circuit of the Americas, and this is going to be race 2 of the 15th round of Formula Challenge, if that makes sense. I've redone my calculations. It's actually 2 points that Jake Dennehan needs to win the championship here, and he is almost definitely going to win that because 14th place would give him 2 points, or 15th with fastest lap. So that means, of course, that he is pretty much confirmed as a champion. Although if he gets into an accident in this race, and I'm not wishing that he would, that of course would mean that we'd go into the final round with an awkward situation where Andre would need to pretty much win both races and get both fastest laps, with Dennehan not scoring a single point, which, yeah, is theoretically possible, but is very, very unlikely, especially since we actually have not had a double victory from anyone this championship. And by that, I mean winning both races in a weekend. We've only had a couple of back-to-back victories due to a driver winning the second race in one weekend and then the first race in one after that. And that just simply won't be good enough for Darius Andre. So we're heading into the final, or the second race of the day now. The warm-up session has come to a close, and the position drawn out of the hat is position 13, meaning that Ruben Machedi will be starting on pole position. Menno, what do you reckon he can do from that?
Well, hopefully for him, he can score a podium, because I believe he didn't score a single podium in Formula Challenge this season. So I think he is looking on that, and I think he's got a proper chance on it. I think it all depends, like race 1, on the start. If he can stay ahead and has a decent pace, then I can see him having a good chance on a podium. But of course, we will see how the Jake Dennehans, the Mike Quints of this field will do, and how they will go through the field. It also will be very interesting to see what Scott Mitchell can do after missing race 1, how he can do in race 2, and maybe still can score some points. Because 44th place in the championship, Isaac Morris is getting closer and closer. From my calculations, the gap between those drivers is now, I believe, 18 points, if I'm correct. So it was 34 before this round. So yeah, Scott Mitchell lost a lot out of that. Didn't start the last race, so we shall see what will happen in race 2, and yeah, we're there to bring the spectacle.
Indeed, we're now about to get going for the formation lap here in just under a minute. We do have the same number of cars in race 1 because, yes, we have happily regained Scott Mitchell. He's made it back in the King's Racing car, but unfortunately Valente has not made it back after his connection issue. It was very clean race 1. Yeah, we saw a little bit of bumping and banging, but aside from Lahou's contact, which of course was not anyone's fault, all we really had was Valente's connection issue. So very happy to say that it was a clean race 1. Race 2, of course, let's hope for much of the same. Anyway, once again, 14 laps. And here you see we're on board with the third place driver of Massimiliano Riboli as he lines up. Sorry, that's the second place driver, Jack Nicholls, as he lines up on the grid. The famous Formula E commentator, probably my favourite commentator in the world of real-life motorsports, actually. And I had the immense pleasure of commentating alongside him at the Australian round of Super Cup earlier this year. Let's take a look at the grid order for this round, shall we? If we can get that up on the screen. So it's going to be Ruben Machedi on pole position, followed by Jack Nicholls, Massimiliano Riboli, Mikel Tuomala. And when you're watching this grid order, make sure you think in your mind, you know, who do you think's going to win this race? Put the prediction in the comments. It really could be any of these. Tom Vandervoort P5, then Dylan Platt, Tom Parker and Kenny Singleton. And then Joseph Herlock, Damien Scarron, Isaac Morris and Mike Quint. And then of course P13 is going to be our race one winner, Jake Dennehan, who has a lot to do from that position on the grid, although to be honest, doesn't really need to do much because even if he finishes 13th, he will be the champion. Then it's Mateusz Kozowski, Darren Halsall and Maciej Sandak fighting for the lower positions in the points. And then outsiders looking in are Luke Mitchell, Kevin Morville, Kenny Leibier and Remco de Gier. Finally, we have Josh Downard, Bruno Ferreira, Justin Ryan, Tommy Koivunen. And then the last slide, we'll get Maxim Bewley in the GPVWC Academy car, and then Siva Anasenko, who didn't have the opening race that he was hoping for, Alex Lahu and Scott Mitchell, who does make it back and will be fighting through from the back of the field. So one Kings racing car on the front row, another on the back row. Wow, this is going to be an exciting one. My prediction for the win, I'm actually going to say Tom Parker, although I'm not sure I've ever got a prediction right in Formula Challenge. But I feel like experience is going to shine through in this race. So Tom Parker will be my pick. But as I said before, it really could be anyone. Menno, are you brave enough to make a prediction?
Yeah, of course. I can make a prediction. Yes. My prediction is that Jake Dennehan will also win this race. So that will be quite a thing if he does. But I believe in or nearly crown champion. It looks that way, and I think he now has no stress anymore. He has got so much more points than Darius now, and I think he now can race without any pressure, and he will show his skill around this track. So let's see where he ends up. I think he can be pretty high in race 2.
That's very true, although like I said before, he doesn't need to necessarily do that well. So I wonder whether he'll just try to wrap up the championship today, get stress-free, and then go through to the next round. Anyway, the lights are on, and now they're out, and we're underway for the second race of the day. And a good start from Riboli. He covers off Jack Nicholls into turn 1. Nicholls makes another dive, goes up the inside, and Riboli leaves him space further back. It looks as if we're going 2 or 3 wide. And a driver slightly spun around, and it's Remco de Gier, although he recovers just about. But yeah, he lost a lot of time in a couple of places through the first few corners. Machedi leads, followed by Nicholls, Riboli, Tuomala and Parker, the top 5. Good start for Parker. Someone running slightly wide over the escape road in the background, but a completely clean start, because even though there were a few contacts, I don't think anyone has lost any wings or anything like that. I think that our damage bill is still 0. Anyway, onto the back straight for the first time. We're going to see some ducking and weaving. Jake Dennehan's up to 10th. Contact!
Crash for Quint!
Goes Quint. No, it's Joseph Herlock. It's his teammate. Joseph Herlock has gone around and drops back through the order. But I tell you what, Quint got a really bad start too, because Quint is right back there as well. Now for the lead. Inside of Ruben Machedi. Goes for the first position, and it looks as if he might get it here. There he goes. So Jack Nicholls gets in front. 3 wide further back, and around the outside, Dennehan goes over the escape road, and he's now up into 8th. So Dennehan does gain places there. Isaac Morris 9th. Scarron on the inside.
And a big crash.
Right, and a crash.
And it was Mikel Tuomala who came into hot and hit, I believe it was Ruben Machedi or Massimiliano Riboli who hit, and he lost quite a lot of positions. So all of this makes that Jake Dennehan is in P7 from P13 after 1 lap. So that's a lot of positions gain and he looks pretty good. So now leading after one lap, it's Jack Nicholls, then it's Ruben Mercedes, but Massimiliano Riboli, he is on the move for P2, and he gets it. He gets it, but how is his exit here? No, Ruben is still there. Ruben is still there and will get P2 back for now. And we've got 3 wide into the next corner behind. Oh, Tom van der Voort now is in P4. He's hunting that podium as well. I believe Tom van der Voort didn't score a podium this season, or I believe maybe 1 podium, and he wants more. So it looks good for Tom van der Voort. Also for Tom Parker in P6.
Platts past Parker into P5. 2 drivers into the pits at the end of that opening lap. Mahou and Sandak, they were involved in the incident that we saw. Also, I'm afraid that Scott Mitchell, even though he did make it into this race, did not complete a lap. So a horrible day for Scott Mitchell. Now let's watch Riboli as he goes for it again on Ruben Mercedes. Into the corner, he's going to go to the right-hand side because Mercedes covers off the left. He's on the outside line. Behind him as well, Denahan looking for a move. What about a switchback for Riboli? He'll be on the outside line again if he does go for it. Here's Kevin Moorville, and also Denahan, I can confirm, did make that move, and he's now trying to get 6th place away from Tom Parker. He might well get it actually up the inside. Jake Denahan touches Parker. They bounce off each other a couple of times. Now into the triple right-hander. And it looks as if Parker's fended him off for the time being. As for that race with Moorville, he passed Gajowski for P14. Maciej Sandak is now out of the race. He, of course, was one of the drivers into the pits, and there's been a big kerfuffle there. It looks as if Mercedes has gone side by side with Riboli, and they've both gone off the road. And now look at Dylan Platt. Platt might take 2nd. He was 4th coming onto the straight. 3 wide behind him with Van der Voort, Mercedes, and Parker. And Denahan, sorry, and through goes Dylan Platt. So Platt does get 2nd ahead of Riboli. Then it's Mercedes, Parker, Van der Voort, and Denahan. Isaac Morris taking a look at. Oh, and he touches with Denahan, and he's lucky that this isn't real life because I feel like he got a penalty, a puncture from that one. So that's the order as it is now.
It's a bit chaos because it's a big train of cars, and now Jack Nicholls actually checked out. And what can Dylan Platt do with that? Can he now in P2? Can he gain time on Jack Nicholls? Maybe he can, but Jack Nicholls now has got nobody in front of him, and that's a good feeling because you can just focus on everything what's happening ahead. Just push the maximum you can get out of the car, and play with the car. So I think he's in a good position now. Of course, P1 is always.
Sorry, Parker on Machete there. Parker on Machete. He's on the outside line into the arena and turns in and gives him space. Well, Machete gives him space and covers him off into the second part as there's a big lockup for Massimiliano Riboli up ahead. Now into the triple right-hander once again towards the last few corners of the lap. Quint has just passed Scorin for P11. Look at that. Parker's found the gap on the inside of Machete. That is going to turn into the outside line, though. And he's going to try to hang on around the outside. Goes over the curb, just as IndyCars do. Touches the back end of Ruben Machete's car. Now they come across the start-finish line once again. Dylan Platt is the fastest car on track right now as he attempts to reel in Jack Nicholls. The gap is 1.6 seconds, so he's not yet in DRS range. Now look at Parker, up the inside once again. Touches again with Ruben Machete. These two have been leaning on each other for pretty much an entire lap now. Behind them, Denahan has passed Van der Voort, and we're watching this battle on board with Jake Denahan because he has front row seats to see Tom Parker sweeping past Ruben Machete and getting that P4. Yellow flag showed further back, although it appears that everyone is okay, apart from the drivers that I've mentioned previously. Alex Lahou, he was into the pits at the end of the first lap, wasn't he? Jake Denahan now is past Ruben Machete, so he is into P5. And you might end up being right about him winning this race, actually, because he is on an absolute charge in the early stages of this race. Fastest lap has now gone the way of Alex Lahou after his pit stop, so that would take it away, of course, from Dylan Platt for the time being. but there's still a lot of time left in this race. Into the corner, look at this, Tom van der Voort making a dive, and he now goes 6th. Machete keeps the overlap though on the exit, and he's on the inside now, so Machete gets 6th. Luke Mitchell through past Tumala and forced wide, and Mike Quint coming through into P10 as a better than Morris locks wheels with van der Voort. This is chaos, Menno.
Yeah, this is, I think, really hard driving, and Tom van der Voort and Isaac Morris wants to both have P7, and wants, of course, stay close with the DRS. So I think they're all working with passing each other, but also working with staying in the DRS. And Isaac Morris seems to be on charge again, just like he was in, race 1. So he now knows that Scott Mitchell is out again, so P4 is for grabs in the championship.
Parker through. Parker side by side with Raboli for P3, but he's on the outside, so not through. Further back as well, there was more battle. Oh, look at Dennehan looking for any way past that he can. I don't know why he's so desperate, because there's still plenty of time. We're not even halfway through this race yet. Herlock and Scarron also swapping places further back. That's for P12. Wide goes Parker. Dennehan all over his tail end, and we're now heading towards that crucial back straight. There's going to be changes here amongst this little battle. Platt has now caught up to Jack Nichols, so the battle for the lead is once again on. Nichols did build up a second gap for the lead, but he's lost it again. And that means, of course, that he is under pressure. Now watch as Tom Parker gets closer and closer to Massimiliano Raboli. He's got the DRS open. He goes to the outside because Raboli covers it off very, very well. Van der Voort also goes for a move. Look at Parker. Parker to P3. I think he's going to get it. So Parker is up onto the podium. Dennehan sticks his nose where it's not wanted. Raboli gives him space. Van der Voort and Machete stay in the opposite order to the order I read them out in there.
Oh,
and
look
Dennehan.
at Riboli. Riboli still side by side with Dennehan. Oh, Riboli is quite aggressive. He knows he needs to stay ahead of Dennehan, because if Dennehan passes like he does now, then you might not be able to catch back. So Dennehan now in P4. And how will the exit be for Riboli? I think Riboli already is too far away to go for the attack on Dennehan. And looking at the lead, Dylan Platt is now really close to Jack Nichols. But I think if they fight too hard, they will lose.
Yes.
Because
Van der Voort sweeping around the outside into P5. It's always 4. Oh, it's a battle of 4 going into the S's. And somehow, so it's Van der Voort followed by Raboli, Morris and Machete amongst that bunch. But yeah, Noah's Ark formation 2 by 2 into the S's. And that's the order they come out in. Wide goes Machete. He's holding up his teammate now. Sorry, they're not teammates, are they? They're just very similarly liveried cars. Team Frelik and Scuderia Cap Clay. Now, here are the leaders. Closer than they've been for the entirety of the race so far. Potentially even at the start. Watch this, down the straight. Also, Morris, look at that. And Parker and Dennehan, I don't know where to look.
But let's go for the lead.
Dylan Platt to the inside line for the very front of the race, and he's going to get it before the braking zone, and he's through, I think so anyway. Now let's look back at Jake Dennehan as he gets P3. So Platt takes the lead, Dennehan takes P3, Raboli's there in P7, so Morris has got past him. Van der Voort's now in P5. Whoa, everything's changing every time I look here. This is great stuff.
This is great stuff, and it looked like Dylan Platt got the got like a message like now Jake Dennehan is in P3, so if you want to win this race, you now need to make the overtake work on Jack Nichols. And now I think for Dylan Platt and for Jack Nichols, it's flat out as fast as you can, because the Irishman is coming, and we know how fast he can be. So. We've got 7 laps to go, and he's not out there for the counted out for the win. Dennehan in P3.
If Jake Dennehan can wrap up the championship with a double victory, that will be the best way. And look at that, and that's a dive from Mike Quint, but he backs out of that one as behind him Mitchell, Scar and Herlock all go at it. But that would be the best possible way for him to win the championship. You can't do much better than that, especially if he takes a fastest lap in this race. He's a little way off that at present. but if he was to take that, it would be a perfect point score and the only one that we're likely to see in this championship. Look at Tuamala under pressure from Quint. On the exit of the S's, they stay in that order. But like I say, the next part of the circuit is that long straight. I love the way, and a big dive there from Mike Quint as he goes up the inside. I was going to say, I love the way that you have a straight and a hairpin followed by another straight, because it invites people to go for dives. But then, of course, they're vulnerable. They're very vulnerable onto the straight.
Look at Machete
going for Raboli on the outside. Leaves it later. Oh, no, he doesn't leave it later. Raboli left it very late, ran wide, and they're going to be side by side on the exit. As they go, I don't even want to look at what's happening behind them right now. They touch wheels, Machete and Raboli once again, 3 times into the S's, into the arena, and through as well goes Mike Quint potentially. No, he's going to have to back out of that one. And that's very wide. He's being forced right to the outside of the circuit, and that was.
But he can still make it.
And they're 3 wide. Very nearly 3 wide into turn 19 there. And wide once again goes Raboli. Tuamala sticks his nose right up the middle of them. A touch from Mitchell. And that's the order as they come.
And we've got an overtake for P2. It's Jake Dennehan already in P2. And this is the worst nightmare if you're Dennehan and you're in the lead.
And a crash. And out of control goes Luke Mitchell. And contact as well from, who was that diving in there? It was Kevin Morville diving right up the middle. Luke Mitchell there had a big spin down the straight as he was fighting he was fighting with Raboli, and they came together. Raboli lost a lot of time from that as well. We're going to see a replay of that. You just see it. So this is Mitchell and Raboli going side by side off the... Sorry, I'm trying to watch it in real time as well and see if they do come together. Sorry, it looks as if Raboli's been off once again in the S's after touching with Herlock. So we are looking still at that replay with Mitchell. He's lucky that didn't happen later on in the straight, because he could have done a Liuzzi style crash up the... Oh my goodness, sorry. Big dive from Mitchell up the inside of Raboli, possibly out of retaliation there, and cost them both a lot of time. Now down the straight, Isaac Norris with Tom Vandervoort up the inside. P5 there. Nicely done. I'm interested to see what happens here with Raboli and Gajowski down into the corner. And Mitchell this time.
Yeah.
Not.
And
sorry,
look how close. Look how close Jake Dennehan already is. He is close to going for the lead. I think Dylan Platt is very quick this race, but Jake Dennehan just seems to have it all under control, and I think it's only a matter of time when he will pass for the lead. Well, we've got a lot of fights going. Let's see. I think we will see the overtake from Jake Dennehan now. They're now on the start-finish straight.
Yes, let's switch back to the leaders quickly. Jake Dennehan. He took a look. He took a look into turn 1. Dylan Platt holds it for the time being. This is amazing. 5 laps to go. Can Dylan Platt be the only person to fend off a flying Jake Dennehan? Behind him, Quint and Machete once again side by side. Machete at P7. Into the S as they go. Dennehan's car will not be handling well here because you've got so much dirty air. There's Gajowski. There's Herlock in that fight further back. They are a little bit further down than they would be hoping for. Now, onto the straight. Are about to head Dylan Platt and Jake Dennehan. Don't cover it off here, Platt. It's going to be the exit where he comes for you. And the straight, of course. Now, Dylan's got to move right over to the left-hand side of the track. Quicker than that, because Dennehan's getting a tow. Getting so much of a tow. Now the DRS opens. Jake Dennehan's coming, and this is going to be pretty much unstoppable as he goes into the braking zone.
No, he
Platt's going to try. They touch.
No.
And Platt holds it, and Platt runs Dennehan right out of road. Just he needed to. Dennehan still has a little overlap. Oh, Platt's got to keep it there. There's going to be another left-hander. And they touch again. And Platt holds it. Great stuff.
That was a beautiful, to block Dennehan's pass, because Dennehan wanted to brake earlier and then take a lot of exit speed. But Dylan Platt just parked it on the apex there, and he stays ahead for now. But now we've got Jake Dennehan there But yet Dylan knows he needs to go for it, and he is still ahead. Look at that working from...
Parker's up to P3, and he's gone wide. Jack Nicholls back through. Now look to the leaders. Jake Danahan once again, side by side for the lead with Dylan Platt on the start finish straight up to turn 1, but he's going to be shown the longer way round, just as he was before. He goes for a switchback, but hits the sausage curb. Isaac Morris up to P4 now. Pays Tom Parker back for the mistake in the final corner. He's now on the outside being hung out to dry and making it stick anyway into the S's. This is fantastic. Dylan Platt holds off Jake Danahan for another lap of racing. We've got 4 laps to go. It's all going to be decided in these final 4 laps. Jake Danahan really doesn't need to go for this because even if he gets second, he will win the championship. But there's no better way to win it than to get a double victory in Formula Challenge. Here we go. Once again onto the back straight. The DRS will be in effect just as it was before. Platt covers his move off just as he did before. Platt is fast in a straight line, but Danahan will be faster with the slipstream, with the DRS. He's going to take a look to the outside, is he, or is he going to try a dummy? Yeah. He does go for a dummy. He's up the inside.
No, he misses the corner.
Wheel. And
he takes it. So.
And they touch again on the exit. And he does take it. Jake Danahan leads this race at the Circuit of the Americas. What a champion's performance we're seeing so far. It is a shame that Darius Andre isn't here to defend that championship battle. Whoa, as Platt and Nicholls and all sorts goes wrong into the arena behind. Yeah, it's a shame that Darius Andre isn't here today, but if Jake Danahan does bring this home to win the race, as it is here, that will be the most amazingly deserved championship and a fantastic way to steal the crown. He's on his way to what will be the first double victory of the championship so far, and probably the only one. Now up towards turn 1 once again. Platt's not close enough to fight back. Look at P3. Morris is up the inside, and he gets it. So Morris P3 now, just as he was in race 1. Menno, Jake Danahan, what do you think of that?
Well, that was of course an amazing move, and I can't understand how he could stop that car in braking so late and having that angle into the next corner after the straight. But yeah, he did it, and yeah, that's why he's leading. But Dylan Platt is of course not out there for the victory, but needs to stay in DRS range. But if I now see how fast Jake Danahan is going, he's pushing flat out to get Dylan out of DRS range. It's like a how would you say it? Gallery drive? Just
Parker and Nicholls. Oh, well, they went side by side into that little hairpin there. And it's attack or be attack because Tom van der Voort is right with them. Now, Danahan was still in DRS range of Platt. Sorry, the other way around. But they have stayed in the same order this time. Look at this. We've got Nicholls back up the inside of Tom Parker. 3 wide. And who's going to get there? It's going to be Nicholls who covers him off. And Nicholls, and a big lockup, and Parker almost runs into the back of Nicholls as he fights with Tom van der Voort. Now into the second part of the arena, it's van der Voort on the inside, but of course next up you've got the right-hander, and it's van der Voort 5th. So Nicholls 4th, van der Voort 5th, Parker 6th, and after this lap we will have 3 to go.
Yeah, 3 to go. Well, I just saw an overtake from Camerawork, who jumps into P10. Ahead of Mikael Tumala, who's now in P11, so a lot of battling. So P15 currently, the last point scoring position, is for Mateusz Guzowski, with Don Halsall in P14.
I really want Jake Danahan to get the fastest lap in these later stages. Because of course, look at Van der Voort again with Jack Nicholls banging wheels into the towards the S's we head. He's going to have to back out of that one. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I really want Jake Danahan to get the first lap now because he's going to win the race. And of course, there will be no better way to do it than to get the win and the fastest lap in both races. Maximum points. And if he doesn't, no one will. But anyway, so out towards the back straight once again. Big dive from Parker. That's a replay. Sorry, I was really confused about the discrepancy between what we were seeing on our screen and what was actually happening. This time, though, Mike Quint's going to get involved in this. He's done a good job. I remember one point in this race where Quint was 12th. He's now in P7 and joining this fight for P4 here. Singleton just passed 2 mile further
Look
back
at
as
Tom
well.
Vandervoort. Tom Vandervoort has got a run for P4. He will go around the outside of Jack Nichols. Brakes later. Walks the corner, but Jack Nichols is still there. But now Tom Vandervoort will have the inside. Will of course brake a little bit later. And he passed Jack Nichols.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Parker gets sideways, they almost lock wheels, wide goes, and who's that this time? It's Vandervoort at the inside of Nichols, and he now gets P4, Nichols and Parker spread out behind him, but it looks if that's going to be the position where they are for now. Kenny Singleton's not having a great race, P2 in race 1, but he's just not had the pace to get through the pack this time. Look at Quint, took a look, goes for a bit of a switch back, there's a left-hander at the final corner. Right, penultimate lap now they're heading on to, so 2 to go, including this one that they're just starting now. Ooh, smoke appearing for Parker now at the start of the race. I wouldn't have been so surprised about that, but this is happening quite late in the race. It's showing me that as he runs wide, yeah, it's showing me that he's not getting enough air to his radiator there, and that can lead to engine blowouts if you don't ram air into the engine by pulling out of the slipstream of the car whenever possible. Mitchell there's had an incident, so Mitchell pulls off to the side of the road and appears to be a retirement. We've also lost Alex Lahou, Maciej Sandak and Scott Mitchell. Mitchell, of course, I mentioned earlier on, as well as Sandak actually, so Lahou was the more recent one. He still has the fastest lap of the race, but he won't be able to score a point for it.
Oh, look how close they are for P5 now. Tom Vandervoort actually jumped away a bit, but it's now Tom Parker who is very close to Jack Nichols. But look at Mike Quint. He will have a double slipstream. What can he do? Of course, Nichols will focus on Parker, but what can Quint do? They go 3 wide. Who will brake latest? I think it will not be Quint. No, it will not be Quint. Tries to brake.
They're going to be 3 wide on the exit too.
Yeah, and now it's Tom Parker who passes, but also Mike Quint who passes.
Oh.
Mike Quint has got an alternative line, nearly got both of them, and actually now passed Nichols. So Nichols got a bit, mugged from there. Now he's in P7 while he left the race at the beginning of the race. So yeah, he doesn't have the pure pace like the others have. And now it's Mike Quint who's actually smoking.
Sorry, Libya getting punted off the road further back. Oh, and coming straight back into the side of Raboli. Anyway, the gap for the lead going into the final lap is 3 seconds. Jake Dennehan is doing everything that he needs to absolutely rub it in the face of his opposition. Mike Quint now lining up Tom Parker for one final attempt on the first lap. He's now smoking as well, so both of them could be in a little bit of radiator trouble here. Now on the exit of turn 1, he's going to be covered off. It's going to be Parker at P5 for the time being. Singleton now up to P10 as he passes Kevin Morville up into turn 1. So it's not a complete disaster for Kenny Singleton in this second race here. So final lap, who's going to get this P5 out of Parker, Quint or Nichols? It could be any one of those. Damien Scaron not too far back either. I think unfortunately the win is pretty clear on this last lap. But my goodness, did he have to fight for it. That is wonderful stuff from Jake Denham. We'll get back to that in a little while when he comes across the line to win.
Look at Quint on Parker. It's the final time we go on the back straight. And Quint will, of course, have DRS. Can he pass? Yeah, well, he's very quick over the straight. But can he go for the overtake? Goes around the outside, brakes later, and he can't pass for now.
Excellent stuff. I'm afraid we've lost Massimiliano Raboli. He becomes hopefully the last retirement at this race. Oh, Quint jumps over the sausage curbs. Just about avoids running into Parker worse. My goodness. Anyway, we are about to see the race come to a close. Jake Dennehan just has 2 more corners to go before a big slide. Wow, you don't want to do that on the last lap of your championship winning drive.
And there we
Jake
have
Dennehan is going to become champion of Formula Challenge 2021 in fantastic style. He could not have done that much better at all as he wins both races.
This was the best round we saw this season from Jake. Pure domination of both races. He had everything under control. Dylan Platt goes to P2 and actually is now in a big challenge for P4 in the championship. Isaac Morris, another guy which did an amazing job. We all talk about Jake Dennehan, but Isaac Morris scored a lot of points today. and he can be very happy with what he achieved today. Tom van der Voort P4, he needed a good result because sometimes it doesn't go his way, but he now showed that his fighting spirit and good moves actually paid off here at Klont. So well done from him. Tom Parker P5, very well done on his return. Mike Quinn still good P6. Of course, he didn't go through the field like Denhan did, but I think still P6 is a decent position after starting P12. So good. Jack Nichols P7, decent points. I think would have expected more. Damon Scoron in P8, decent. Ruven Machede from pole, no win, but yeah, still P9, good amount of points. And Kenny Singleton, yeah, rounds out the top 10. I think not what he wanted, but still 6 valuable points.
So there you see the order. Jake Dennehan is our champion, followed by Dylan Platt. Then Tom van der Voort, Tom Parker. The rest of the top 10 were Mike Quinn, Jack Nichols, Damien Scoron, Ruben Machete, and Kenny Singleton. Then it's Kevin Morville, Joseph Herlock, Mikko Tuomala, Tone Halsar, and the last point goes the way of Mateusz Kuzowski. Missing out were Kenny Leibeer, Tommy Koivunen, Maxime Bewley, Remco de Jeu, and Josh Downard. And then also Justin Royan and Seva Panasenko. And on the last lap, we lost Bruno Sousa Ferreira and Massimiliano Riboli. Sousa Ferreira was due to that contact that you saw on the stream just before the race ended. He actually retired at the very last corner, although he was going to score points anyway. Also out were Luke Mitchell, Alex Lahou, Nacho Sandak, and Scott Mitchell. So it was a very bad day to have the surname Mitchell. Menno, your prediction came true at the end of all of that, and I've got to say, driver of the day has to go to Jake Dennehan, because you do not get much more dominant than that in what is, don't forget, theoretically equal machinery.
Yeah, of course. You don't know what kind of setup they are running, and yeah, it was quite impressive. But his teammate, I believe, Alex Lahou, just spoiled his party to get, I think, all points available this round, because Alex Lahou had the fastest lap, so that means for race 2, Jake Dennehan doesn't get a point for the fastest lap. But
ironic.
I think, yeah, other than that, I would say it was amazing. So yeah. Nobody's perfect, but I think Jake Dennehan today came very, very close to perfection. I think this is a round which he will remember. If you look look back at the championship, then he knows when he clinched the title, but also how he did it. So this is exactly what he wanted, I guess.
Let's talk to a driver who scored a podium in both races, shall we? Isaac, do you hear us?
I do, yes.
Jolly good. So we were all talking about Jake Dennehan domination as he took the top step of the podium both times, but there was another driver who featured on the podium in both races, and that, of course, was yourself. How did you do it?
I mean, it was just having some patience and also just like trying some like opportunistic moves, like especially into like the double right-hander in sector 3. That's like a really easy place to catch people off guard, like depending on the line that they take. So I was you know, just trying my best to get through as many people as possible and just gap them. And also the setup was really good. Tom Ely and I spent ages fixing the setup, so I'd like to give him a big thank you for you know, giving me his time. But yeah, it just all fell in place really nicely tonight.
Indeed, it did. Is this circuit a particularly good one for you? Have you done well?
No, I hate this circuit. It just doesn't work for me. The flow of it isn't what I'm used to, and you know, it took quite a few laps for me to get a hang of the track. But yes, I really dislike this track.
How hard is it to race cars out there? Because there were cars side by side with you, in front of you, behind you, squabbling for position pretty much all the way through both races.
It's difficult because you don't understand. Like, I think when we're racing, like, we all don't know how much respect that we have for each other. Like, there's going to be some drivers who won't give you the respect that you know, they won't leave the space, etc. And you know, sometimes I've been guilty of that myself, so I'm not just pinning it all on them. but sometimes you just got to have faith in the other people around you that they're not going to do something stupid, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and it's just it's just a gamble, really. And if you just put your nose in there somewhere, you just got to hope that they see you, and if they don't, then it's contact, but if they do, then you get some nice hard clean racing. And I think that's what makes Formula Challenge kind of unique in a way. It's like a sprint race, but you get all the battles like in a short period of time, and it can either go really well or really badly for you.
Yeah, I've got one question for you, Isaac. So we saw a lot of problems for Scott Mitchell today, and you scored quite a lot of points in both races. So I think realistically, you're now close to what was it? P4 in the championship. So in 2 weeks, that will be a proper battle, I think, between you, Dylan Platt, and Scott Mitchell. Is P4 in the championship something you have your eyes on, or don't you care about that position in the standings?
Obviously, like, it's nice to finish in like the highest position possible, and today I had a really good day, and Scott had he had his problems, but in 2 weeks' time that might be the complete opposite. I might have a really bad day, and he might have a really good day, and like I do care, but also as well, like, it's not going to gain me anything if I finish one position higher in the standings. But I'm just happy that we can all race with each other and just have nice hard clean racing sometimes.
That's good to hear. So yeah, one more round to go.
Yeah, Brazil. I'm not too sure. I've never done Brazil on R Factor, so it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Okay, so yeah, hope to see you back here with the interview you in 2 weeks. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, hopefully.
Anything to add, Caitlin?
Just congratulations on your double podium finish there. That is.
Hey, thank you very much.
Okie dokie. Next up, we have second place from that second race there. Dylan Platt. Dylan, you there? If you're speaking, we don't hear you yet, Dylan.
Yeah. We might be, yeah. You're just getting something to drink or something?
Okie dokie. Well, we'll keep talking for a little while, because I'm still really hoping that Jake Dennehan will jump in here at some point. It would be a shame to crown a champion without being able to speak to them. So got to get them in at some point. But anyway, one thing I noticed over the course of those races, Menno, was there seemed to be a lot of tactical contact going on. There seemed to be drivers kind of checking up the inside of their opponent and just kind of touching rubbing wheels with them to let them know that you're there. And I'm just thinking, what was your opinion on that stuff? Did it go too far?
I think it was on the edge. I think some people really pushed hard, and yeah, sometimes people touch, but I think small touches will always happen, and I think it didn't go too far. Of course, sometimes you have people who misjudge braking or just run into the back of another car. But yeah, when you're all that close and bunched up then that can happen. But I think overall, I think we saw a good battling and a little bit of drama. And yeah, that's how the Formula Challenge is. So I guess nothing too bad.
They still kept it clean, though, of course. There weren't too many accidents. We had 20 plus finishes in both races, which is what we like to see. I'm actually not sure that we are going to get to talk to Jake Dennehan today, and that is a big, big shame, considering he has just won the championship and both races. But to be honest, he's probably celebrating somewhere, getting himself a bottle of champagne or something.
Well, I don't think it will be two bottles. I think the way he drove today, he will be absolutely destroyed at the end of the day. And like he should, like he drove today, he was doing amazing stuff, and actually he did all the right moves at the right time, and that's something. That's real talent. not only do what you can do yourself, but also judge what the others do, and just be so much faster that you can actually play with your rivals. And it's like a cat playing with a mouse. That's how Jake Danahan played with the rest of the field in race 2. And that's
Indeed.
was very
He needed 12 points. He got 46. That is what you call overkill. Anyway, we're going to have to start wrapping up this broadcast now. So thank you very much for joining me, Menno. This was a wonderful day of racing. A fantastic show of domination from a well-deserved champion. Thank you as well to Szymon Frelik, who once again did a wonderful job with the broadcast and the cameras and the stream. And thank you to all of you for joining us and watching along. The championship fight may be over, although the series is not, because of course in 2 weeks' time we will be back for another round in Interlagos, and in the time being, we have all of the other series racing at Circuit of the Americas as well. We've got Super Cup in 2 days' time, and then of course next week we've got the Super League Lights and the Super League, the main Super League Grand Prix. So definitely make sure that you stick around the GPVWC YouTube channel and check to see if we're streaming every 7:30 p.m. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you again in Brazil. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye.